Good morning. I'm Jerry Middleton, and welcome to Knights of the Roundtable. And with me today, as usual, is analyst Rick Fletcher and our special guest, new girls basketball coach, Cody Dudley. Cody, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, fellas. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Cody. We got you up here on a Saturday morning. We appreciate you coming up. So I heard you say earlier, everybody at home is sleeping, so you can be here. So
yeah,
we're happy to have that.
We were up late last night watching the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I was too, man. I mean, watching with one eye open and one eye closed.
Definitely.
So, hey, we're glad to have you here. We love basketball, girls basketball, boys basketball. So this is a good opportunity for us to get to know you.
Yeah.
So tell us your progression as far as how you got to this point in your career being hired as the varsity basketball coach.
Yeah, so obviously, high school, I played myself, just had a love for the game that never went away, so then I just kind of, it's easier to kind of get your start in the AAU circuit, and I had some people reaching out, knew that I was an ex-player and knew the game. So I coached with the Eastern Indiana Travelers, years and years ago. We had, Tyler Smith, Robert Smith, that kind of crop of guys. I coached there probably 5-6 years maybe. The tail end of that, I jumped in. I coached 8th grade girls here at Northeastern. And then I just made the switch over to high school boys, jumped into the program. Josh Jurgens, John Blevins, became a varsity JV assistant with those guys over at Seton Catholic, and then now here.
Yeah, Seton Catholic. So obviously you mentioned the Grizzlies, Desmond Kane. So that's going to be exciting for Seton, really.
Oh, yeah. It's honestly, the entire county. The support that he gets from, the entire, county, all the other schools. And really now it's kind of, he's having a lot of success. So you see it trickle over. Even Indianapolis area, he's starting to get, people talking about it.
Well, it's fun to watch. It really is. So,
well, I know you've had some preseason meetings and some on-court workout stuff, and you're getting to meet the players now and so forth. What's some of your thoughts on that?
I think there's just a lot of buzz and excitement. Everybody I talk to, they're ready to go. The players are excited. I have players that, they're all playing a spring sport right now, whether it's track, softball, tennis, whatever it is. But they'll stop in, even though I know they're getting ready to go to track practice. They stop in the gym and they want to chop it up and hang out and kind of get to know each other. And really the vibe that I'm getting from everybody is just excitement. Everybody's just ready to go.
Yeah. Do you encourage girls to play another sport? Is that what you be more well-rounded? Because a lot of your girls are playing AAU right now as well as the spring sport. So
absolutely. I've always been, a supporter of that. For me, it's, if you want to play basketball and you want to work on basketball, you're going to do that in your own time anyways. But I don't want, burnout, things like that. Kids just playing all year round nowadays. So I think it's a really, really good thing for them to just kind of get a break from it for a little bit, go work some different muscle groups. Some of that stuff, we talked about earlier, like volleyball and things like that. That they're working, that's going to improve your vertical jump, other things that will translate back to basketball.
Absolutely.
But just take some time away. We need a break from each other. You don't want to see me all the time. So.
And not to make this sound bad, but that happens with girls more than it does boys. That burnout. Being around everybody all the time. I know I had two daughters played volleyball, and I coached volleyball, and if you're going 24/7, 365, it doesn't take long. And that's a very good.
His poor girls had to go home with the coach. And I'm friends with his girls, so
even for me, like right now I'm coaching my son's AAU team, something I committed to before I got this job, and it's one of those things. He plays on 2 different teams. He loves to play. He just had to do it. My wife tried to talk him out of it, but he wanted to do it. So he had AAU games every single weekend, from starting last month until I believe June 12th. he had games and this weekend, the tournament, it got canceled. There weren't enough teams, so they canceled it. And we all were just like, oh man, we get to kind of hang out, get some laundry done.
Oh yeah,
It can, take over your life if you allow it to. But it's fun. These days don't last forever.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in your experience, you're coaching a lot of boys. Do you see a difference between boys and girls as far as coaching basketball?
I think in a nutshell, yes. Really, it's more just about the individual person. There are some girls that I can coach harder than I've coached some of the boys that I've had. And then there's some that, vice versa. You have to get to know each individual and kind of what makes them go, how they like to be coached, what they respond to. So for me, with, the girls that I have now, it's just kind of getting to know who responds to what, and, but I do think there's a little bit of a difference.
You remember what Coach Ross said about that? He said, because Coach Ross coached girls and the boys, he said, the boys, you tell them to run through the wall, and they'll run through it. The girls, you tell them to run through the wall, and they'll say, Coach, why am I doing that? They want to know why.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And they want to know why. He says, and if you tell them why, they'll run through the wall.
Yeah.
But they just want to know why.
Yep.
And so that's, you talk about, a little bit of a wiring difference and so forth. Mm-hmm. But I think, to me, I like girls basketball because girls basketball is about finesse, just like volleyball. It's finesse.
Yeah.
Men's volleyball, there's no finesse. It's power.
Yeah.
And men's basketball anymore is turned into power. In fact, a lot of your Division I women's games have now turned into strength and power and no longer the finesse of running your screens, coming off the screen, shooting the jumper, and so forth like that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your coaching staff. You've got a staff together.
Yeah. So Chad Kircher, a good friend of mine, he's done a lot for the youth program.
He's familiar around these parts. He's been around.
Chad knows every family, every player, anyone who's played in the past. He's been a really, really big help for me. Just, if I'm like, hey, what, who's that, and who's their parents, and what do they do, and just trying to learn, each individual player. I mean, Chad has that information at his fingertips. He knows all that. He kind of has a good, his finger on the pulse of the community and things like that. Obviously knows the game. He was pretty successful at the junior high level. Chad and I go way, way back. Been friends for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. And then Stephanie Lord. Stephanie was previously an assistant at Randolph Southern. Really, really talented player. Back in her day. Ask Brent Ross about that. She was really good, really good player. Knows the game, and Steph was really, really excited. I've been trying to get her to come coach with me on the boys' side previous to this. So when I got this job, and she's part of the community. She has a stepdaughter who goes here, and so for her, it was a no-brainer.
So have you guys been scouting your team, is what, and discussing amongst each other what you see in your team? Yeah.
I do a lot of, scouting in general, especially this point in the year, self-scouting. We don't have opponents yet. We have our schedule, but I'm not really diving into that yet.
Yeah.
So it's just getting to know, okay, what does a certain player do well? What do they not do well? What offense and defense am I trying to run, and do I feel like that's a good fit for them? I'm trying to figure out my personnel so I can get out in front of that, and I'm not just trying to fit,
Have you been watching film of the previous year's games?
Yeah, so I this is crazy. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but I went back and watched every game that they had from last year.
Right.
Just kind of see, what went wrong in some of the games, what went right. There's things that I could use, that I could build on. And again, when I do skill development, what area does each girl need to improve on? That way I'm not trying to figure that out and practice as we go. I kind of know that going in.
So last year, Jerry and I, as we were following girls basketball, we alluded a lot to a young team. A lot of freshmen, sophomores, doing, contributing. So you're still going to be kind of a young team this year. You're not going to have a whole lot of seniors. You'll have some.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the players coming back that you feel comfortable talking about.
Yeah, I believe we have 4 seniors. If I'm not mistaken, 2 didn't play last year. Fairly decent sized senior class. Really, a lot of the major minutes that are coming back are from the freshman and sophomore groups from last year.
Right.
So there'll be sophomores and juniors. I think there's maybe a couple freshmen that could contribute as long as they put in some work, and that translates over.
And that's a big transition from 8th grade, and you're playing an 18-year-old girl now.
Huge, yeah.
Big difference in any sport, and we've talked about that a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, you're talking about you're coming in, maybe 14 years old, and you're going against a girl who's 18. That girl's planning the next step of her adult life, and you're trying to figure out where your classes are. I mean, it's a huge gap.
She's physically ready to move on.
Yes.
And you're just hoping to move.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you've speaking of that, you had a freshman last year, Ava Mikesell, that stepped right in at that point guard position and really, shined, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so she's going to be one of your return. I don't want to just focus on one player,
no,
but
for sure.
Obviously she's coming back. And
yeah, she's kind of a coach's dream. I mean, when you have a point guard, especially at a young age, that shows they can handle the speed of the game. She already has experience playing in big games coming into her sophomore year. So just kind of being an extension of the coach on the floor, showing that she gets after it, and it's one of those things. I think players on the team kind of respect that. I mean, they know who gets after it.
Well, she seems to have a high basketball IQ too,
definitely,
and that's unusual for a young player like that.
Yeah.
So she seems to have that going.
And I've
for
said the Mikesels are built different.
No, they're wired differently.
They are.
And they're just the thing about that is they'll go in amongst the trees, climb the branches, and lay the ball up over
Absolutely no fear at all.
And no fear. And the first game we ever saw her play in varsity, she went in there and made some fantastic plays. And I was like, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
I think last year I was in the auxiliary gym watching, it might have been a junior high girls game. And there was a varsity game. I believe it was Union County early on in the season.
Oh, that was a good game.
And I slid over to the gym, and I sat down, and I'm watching the gym, and I sat next to Chad, and I watched maybe 2 minutes of the game. I said, who is that girl? Like, who is she?
Yeah.
He's like, she's a freshman, Ava. And I said, she does not play like a freshman.
No, she does not.
No.
You've also got some other players coming back. You got a young lady who's going to be a junior next year who's turning heads on our AAU team. That'd be Addison Mastriano.
Yeah. Congratulations to her picking up her first Division I offer. I imagine there's more to come. I'm really excited to, get in there and get to work with her. She's a mismatch.
Yeah.
You have a mismatch walking off the bus every single night.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And it should be.
Yeah.
With everybody who we play, that's a mismatch.
Yep.
As soon as you get on the bus.
Yeah, she's really skilled and really talented,
Yeah.
but you can't teach 6'2".
No,
you can't.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah.
So I used to when I was the head volleyball coach at Earlham. We started all 6-footers.
Yeah.
And they're like,
That's intimidating.
What do you do? I said, you can teach them to play, but you cannot stretch them.
You guys will like this. We were in the gym on Thursday waiting for school to get out, and as soon as it got out, track and everybody comes into the gym, we're waiting on the basketball players, myself and Stephanie. And Maddie Osterman and Addison Mastriano both walk up. Hey, Coach, how's it going? And and I talked to him for a little bit, and they walked off. And Stephanie looked at me, and she said, "They look like 2 bodyguards." And I said, "We do not lack size and strength." That
Absolutely.
is for sure.
Well, you've also got a young lady that we've commented over the years and seen her grow up. Is Kim McFarland coming off?
Oh,
the bench.
yes.
And Justice Slick.
Yeah.
Probably one of your more athletic
Yes,
players that you have coming back. So, no pressure, but it seems like there's a good core of players that you have coming back. And I think, Jerry, and you can correct me, I think they'll be motivated this year.
Well, I think so.
How the season ended last year was kind of disappointing for
And you
them.
talk about Cameron McFarland. I equate her to like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
She gets in
it's
there,
a good analogy.
rebounds, picks up the trash, puts it back in, adds some excitement.
Yeah.
When she comes to the game, excitement follows her.
Yeah, it's not. She's not going to be your superstar, but boy, she comes in and she'll put up a stat. She'll get a key rebound.
Yeah.
She'll hit a three from once in a while.
Yeah.
She'll throw a pass. She'll just do something. And so, coming off the bench, that's a good player to have.
Yeah, and you need players like that. I mean, you can't have. I don't need 10 scorers. You know what I mean? You have to have players that fill different roles that help teams win. I've had players in the past that they go in the game and they take a couple charges, dive on a loose ball, maybe, picks up, the star player on the other team gets a foul on them that's a critical foul, maybe takes them out of the ball game. Those are huge, huge moments and huge pieces in basketball games. You have to have players like that for sure.
When we do like our post-game shows, we bring up our Reese Cup player of the game, and a lot of times it is not the person that put 27 points on the board.
Yeah.
We sit back and look, there's a role player. They came in, they made a difference.
Yeah. And it's, again, like Jerry said, it could be a defensive player who scored 0, all right, no points, but was contributing on the defensive end.
And held their opponent, who was scoring 26 points a game, to 4 points.
Yeah. And that's huge. Those are championship winning plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the style of basketball can we expect from the Lady Knights next year?
Fun. A lot of fun.
Well, we're not opposed to fun. We love fun.
Yeah, I like to play fast, physical, like to really get after you, make you uncomfortable. For me as a coach, I like to find out what it is you like to do, and then I'm going to make you do what you don't like to do, and just see if you can beat us that way. So for me, a lot of players, they don't like to play fast. They don't like to play physical. They like to play comfortable, slow, in control. I like to control tempo. I like to be in your jersey. I've always said, and I've said this in many different interviews and just talking with friends and everything. When I coach a team, you may beat us. But when you go through preseason and the schedule comes out, you're going to look down and you're going to find where our game is, and your players are going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go play that game. You're going to know that you played us after you played us. You're going to be sore.
Jerry Baumholtz, who coached at
Jay
County, and he went down south and so forth. So I had him refereeing one night, and I said, Jerry, you got 20 kids listed in the book.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, that's 100 fouls, and I bet you won't call half of them. So with that in mind,
I love that.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're going to play physical basketball. We can go 20 people deep.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about it.
We've talked about the roster. You've talked about, how many. I don't plan on having a 7-person rotation. That's not how we're going to play. We have more talented players than that. We have a lot of people that are going to come in and contribute, and we're going to keep fresh legs. We're just going to keep coming at you and coming at you and coming at you. And our plan is we're going to be in better shape than you, and we're going to play harder than you. And if your skill ends up overtaking the game and beating us, then kudos to you.
Yeah, well, you talk about in your jersey, in your face,
a
little physical. You know what? First quarter, that is pretty much an even trade-off.
Yeah.
That second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, you're playing 10, 11 people, and they're playing 6.
Yeah.
That's where it shows up.
That's where it shows
especially
up.
If you're,
late in the ball game.
especially if you're 10 or 11, took conditioning seriously.
Yeah.
And bought into the off-season stuff. When we show up in June, are you coming in going through the motions, or are you coming in ready to work because you want to win conference because you want to win sectional. You want to win county.
There's a big difference between showing up to work and showing up to work.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
And a lot of times, these are young kids, high school kids, a lot of times the talent might be there, but getting to buy into like the conditioning.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to run up and down the stairs, okay?
No.
So let me ask you, so last year we couldn't field the JV team. What are your numbers going to look like this year?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of buzz and excitement around, the community and everything that I've heard. We had an initial call-out meeting just for current high schoolers, so freshmen through juniors. We had 14 girls come out to the call-out meeting.
And that's not including 8th graders?
That is not including 8th graders. So 8th graders will have their call-out meeting. I believe it's May 5th. I will come to the school that morning. They'll have their call-out meeting.
Okay.
So we're going to do incoming freshmen separately. They were doing some testing during
Sure.
the original one. But we're kind of expecting 7, maybe 8.
That's what I would think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just knowing
Yeah.
who I've seen out there and so forth.
Yeah, so we're looking-
roughly about 20 girls, that's a good number right there.
Yeah.
Between JV and varsity, you
Yeah,
got
so
something to work with.
It sounds like as long as everybody who we believe will show up continues to show up, it sounds like we're going to have enough numbers for both teams.
Now, there's one thing you're going to have here that you probably did not expect that you're going to have. It's going to be our student body cheer section.
Yeah, we pump up the
Yeah.
cheer
Holy
block.
cow.
Oh, yeah.
We talk a lot about the cheer block, and every player that we've talked to when we talk about the cheer block, they say that makes a huge difference, and so you're probably going to see
does.
that again this year.
Yeah, and for me, I've came to a few different games, and there's been times where I got distracted from the game because I'm watching the cheer sections
Yeah.
go back and forth, and it's like, okay, what are they going to say next? I'm talking
Yeah.
to my wife, and we're joking. Oh, did you hear that? And that's a lot of fun, especially the county tournament.
Yeah.
Those things. For me, and I'll just be very transparent about it. I'm challenging the student section.
Right
And
there's the camera.
and
You look right into the camera.
I'm challenging the student section. I'm challenging boys basketball players. I'm challenging everyone in the school to come support the girls team, right? You see it at other sports, and in big girls games, I think they showed up. I'm challenging
Yeah.
them to come
Show up every night.
every night. Come. We feed off that energy. We need that.
I want to see the band there. Typically we have it.
yeah.
I want to see full cheerleading squad. I'll say that. I don't know if that's going to get me in trouble, okay?
Yeah.
But I think we ought to do the full event.
We're the freedom of the press right here.
I can tell you, I've been in contact with the cheerleading coach already.
Good for you.
And talking about that, and just wanting to create, a game-like atmosphere. I mean, it's hard enough to coach when you can hear everything everyone says, and it's just shoes squeaking and a ball bouncing.
Absolutely.
Our practices are high energy. Like, I want games to be high energy. A lot of, music and the band and the crowd, student section.
We let, if you go to school at Northeastern Wayne Schools, we let you in free.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, students get in for free,
There
so
you
there's
go.
no excuse.
And
Yeah.
we did that last year, was the first year, and all the other schools in the area thought we were
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, but then they came and played us, and our student body was like this Dr.
Oh, yeah.
Jekyll over there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
so
and it was great.
I would say, you're going to inherit an enthusiastic,
I've seen
cheer
them.
block.
I love it.
And of course, winning helps, all right? I mean,
does.
let's be honest, winning
does.
helps, gets more enthusiasm. But again, I'm putting a plug in for the band to be at all the home games, just like the boys. So we ought to make it all equal here, have the full cheerleading squad and the band show up. So
Yeah.
that's my public service announcement for the day. Okay, I don't know if it's going to get me
Yeah.
in trouble, but... So summer's coming up. So
Yeah.
you're planning your summer program.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the summer program?
So once we hit June, we have 3 shootouts scheduled in June. We're going to go to Indiana Wesleyan. We're going to go to Wright State, and then we're going to go to Indiana Tech. I was really satisfied in speaking with the coaches that are hosting those, with some of the competition we'll see. I think
Yeah.
it'll be really good for us. There's not a lot in terms of summer league for girls in this area. So we really wanted to ramp up the amount of shootouts that we did, and then we'll dive into our open gym stuff and our conditioning and all of that. But really, really excited to get that stuff going. I think it's going to really be telling of what we're going to be able to do.
So will you publicize those like on Twitter? The girls are going to be at Indiana Wesleyan. These are the dates. Come up and see them.
At a certain point, once we get closer to June, I'll post the entire June calendar for everyone to see, and so you'll get to see. We're in the gym a lot, but you'll get to see the dates for Indiana Wesleyan and Wright State and Indiana.
So when you go to these tournaments, how many games are you expected to play?
So they vary. I believe Indiana Wesleyan is 3 for varsity and JV guaranteed. They kind of do like almost AAU, where you do like a couple pool play games on a Saturday, and then you come back for another day, or later in the day you'll do like your tournament bracket play.
Gotcha.
To where if you win, you get more games, but if you lose, you get 3 guaranteed. I believe Wright State is 4 games, and then I think Indiana Tech is 3, but they'll also have some one-on-one practice time with the Indiana Tech coaches. So the high school coaches kind of step back, hands off, and Indiana Tech coaches come in and run them basically through a college practice.
Well, that's good. You get your girls some exposures to some college coaches, and they'll be able to watch the kids. And that's good competition. They get to play some games. So
I'm really, really excited. That's what got me excited. You see, it doesn't help us to go play, teams that are, really struggling or really young and don't have their legs under them. We're going to get better by going in June and playing kind of the best of the best and seeing what that speed and that competition's like. So I'm really excited for that.
The sectional is,
by the way,
topsy-turvy.
We're live streaming the sectional next year, if I have anything to say about that.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I got that out there.
And I don't even know where the sectional is even going to be played.
We don't know. We don't even know who's
going to be in it.
We don't know those things
it's a big
Centerville is
gone to 3A.
And Lincoln's down to 1A. And so...
And there was only a 6-team sectional to start, so you might see Winchester come back, or who knows what's going to go.
We've talked about that. I mean, that's I've been asked about that a lot. For us, we're going to play whoever's on the schedule.
Right.
It doesn't really make a difference to us. We're not ducking anybody, anything like that. But it's interesting. You don't know. There's any number of ways it could go. There's a bunch of different teams. Monroe Central's fairly close. Eastern Hancock is in the boys sectional. Their girls program's really tough. So I just don't know. I know that news is going to come out fairly soon. We'll just see how it shakes out.
Or it might just stay 4 teams.
Well, that'd be a small sectional, but boy,
there's got to be a couple of them.
If you could add like an Eastern Hancock or a Winchester to the sectional, boy, that'd be a competitive section.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Again, that's probably coming out when, Jerry? Probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I'd hope it'd be out before the school year.
Yeah. So we'll have a lot to say about that as that comes up.
Yeah.
But we're a long way from there.
Definitely.
You're just getting started.
Yeah.
So. Hey, this has been great. We bring these coaches on, we could go for an hour longer here.
I could talk hoops all day. So.
But Cody, thanks for sharing your morning with us, Jerry. Anything final for the cause here?
I don't think so. I think
we're just scratching the surface here. We're going to have you back as time goes on.
Yeah.
And we'll have, get some of your players in and talk to some of them. So we love basketball. I'm a girls' basketball junkie, just like I am boys' basketball, especially at the high school level. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it, seeing what you can produce out there. So welcome to Northeastern.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome to the #Night Nation.
Night Nation.
And
there's a lot of people that will watch this. They're interested in what's going to go on with girls basketball. So, we'll be all looking forward to that. So
hopefully we see them at games.
Come to the games. Cheer block. I'm talking to you guys. Be great like you've been great. Love to see the band. and the full cheerleading squad. Let's make these events, because you know what? These girls deserve it. They work hard.
They do.
And they need your support.
And our live streams will be very much different next year.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of things planned.
Yeah, a lot of things are planned, so you'll have to tune in to see it.
See what the two old guys are coming up
That's
with.
right. The two old guys production and Steve.
And Steve.
And so we're looking forward to it. Well, hopefully, Rick, I'll be able to mow my grass today.
Yeah, hopefully the rain doesn't come. We don't know what's going to do. We had a lot of rain this spring, so.
Anyway, we'd like to welcome Coach Dudley in. And for Rick Fletcher, I'm Jerry Middleton, and it's been another good night.